For more on this, we're now being joined by Adrian Calmel, fellow at Arabian Peninsula Institute, terrorism and Middle Eastern scholar. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you on World DNA. Now, sir, I want to begin by asking you, of course, we first saw the wave of pager explosions. Now we are seeing walkie-talkies. These are essentially devices that are in the pockets of Hezbollah personnel. Lebanon is still grasping, was still grasping with the pager blast. Now this has happened. How do you assess this? How does an attack of this nature even get carried out?
That's a very good question. Thank you for having me back. The way it got carried out was what I believe is that when Fuad Shakur was taken out in Dahia neighborhood in Beirut, there was a decision made to switch up communications because they tracked him on his cell phone. Now they switched over to pagers. You also have walkie-talkies that are exploding now. So what happened is some point somewhere, Israel was able to get into the supply chain and create shaped charges in this closed network of Hezbollah pagers that were sent out to thousands of cadres within Beirut. So what we saw yesterday was, thousands of them going off, injuring thousands, and also if you look at the after action report, this is going to be an amazing intelligence gathering opportunity for the Israelis, because Hezbollah has openly admitted that these were only distributed to Hezbollah members. So eyes are on the hospitals, eyes are on who's coming in, and they can map out who's Hezbollah, who isn't, where they sit, what their condition is, etc.
Mr. Calmel, what kind of psychological impact will it have on Hezbollah at this point, when any device with a battery can be weaponized and strategically detonated?
Oh, that's a great question. And I would imagine it's absolutely brutal, because the pagers were one thing, but when the walkie-talkies started going off today, and that's what their command and control uses when they're on the battlefield in sensitive areas that you mentioned, such as the Bekaa in southern Lebanon, when solar panels that are Hezbollah solar panels, thumbprints that are Hezbollah thumbprints, when those things start exploding, they got to start wondering, is anything safe? Who can we trust? Where's the mole? Where do we look? There are all sorts of problems. And it also leaves them blind if Israel is planning on any type of measure to push Hezbollah north of the Litani River. Hezbollah cannot trust their own communication systems at this point.
Right. Now, Mr. Calmel, there's still no comment from Israel. Hours before the explosion, Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant announced that a new phase of the war is now opening. Is this the new phase that we're talking about now? And how does this position Israel?
That is a great question, and yes, I do believe. Yesterday when I saw this with the 3,000 pagers going off, I immediately thought, well, there's some prepping, and there was some action on the border. But then when the walkie-talkies were going off and other devices, it made me think that yes, they are prepping the next phase, that they're trying to diminish Hezbollah's capacity to put up a fight, or tell them to back down and push back and cease and desist the rocketing of the civilians in the north, which is the objective, as you laid out, of Netanyahu.
Mr. Calmel, John Kirby said that we don't believe that the way to solve this crisis is by additional military operations at all. Now, at this point, the US, which has been trying desperately for a ceasefire, there's no denying that. There have been multiple rounds and multiple West Asia tours by the Secretary of State. Of course, at this point, given what has happened in Lebanon, of course, Israel is silent, but does it reflect how little influence US has on Israel at this point? And where do you feel the ceasefire talks head anywhere further from here?
Yes, when Israel is faced with an existential threat, they're going to have to act in accordance with what they believe is necessary. And I don't think the United States there is some leverage, but there is this strategic relationship that Israel has with the United States, and it's undeniable. And putting pressure, diplomatic solution, and I would also say the United States doesn't have any. We've had a Lebanon policy for years that's been absolutely broken, where we just throw more money at it, and the situation just deteriorates. So I don't see. I hope there's a diplomatic approach. I hope this will stop and make everybody rethink things, but I'm rather cynical on this.
All right, Mr. Calmel, thank you for giving your honest opinion on all those questions and sharing all your insights. Always a pleasure having you on World DNA. That was Mr. Adrian Calmel, fellow at Arabian Peninsula Institute, terrorism and Middle Eastern scholar.